joining us today. Welcome to this training session. My name is Judy Peterson, and I will be walking you through how to issue lender and owner certificates, including rapid certificates. And throughout the hour, if you have any questions, please submit them as a note on the webinar screen. We're going to go through the training session and then answer your questions at the end. Also keep in mind that we do have some training resources available on our website. You just click here to access that shows the different resources. Some are pre-recorded videos, and then we also have some printable training documents. So let's get started. Today I'm going to log in as Marianne Test, the staff person working under Attorney Jane Test. And when logging in, I'll click on Search for or Issue a Commitment or Certificate. The transaction listing screen provides a number of ways to search for an existing transaction. And in our first example today, we're going to create a new transaction where no commitment was issued. So I'm going to click on Create New Transaction. The CAP program is transaction-based. To create the transaction, we'll answer the questions and fill in the necessary information. First, we're going to verify that Attorney Jane Test is the participant who will sign this certificate. I'm going to work on a residential purchase transaction today. As you can see, if you try to choose commercial, unimproved land, or wetlands, you'll be directed to the Iowa Title Guarantee Commercial Department for issuance of commercial and wetlands commitments and certificates. Choose purchase. We're going to do a certificate, and we'll do lender first mortgage certificate, and we'll go with the mortgage amount. If we're going to issue any concurrent certificates, we'll have to do them later. You can only do one certificate at a time. And now we're going to enter the name of our first borrower. And the second borrower. And then their title holders. Now remember, the borrower's names is how they appear on that new mortgage. The title holder's names is how they appeared on the deed. And we aren't going to add any marital status or tenancy in this section, just their names. This is the certificate.
Oh, sorry.
So now you're taken to the transaction details screen. The system has assigned a 9-digit number that's unique to this transaction. The first 2 digits are the year that the transaction was started. This banner across the top will remain there as you work through the transaction. It provides a place where you can put in the file number if you use one for your files. It shows that who's typing is the prepared by, so that's Marianne. The certificate will be signed by Jane. Here on the left are the screens that we need to complete in order to issue this certificate. And they currently appear with a red X, which means they're not completed yet. As we go through the screens and complete them, they'll change to a green check mark. So we're going to start with the property screen. You'll enter the house number in this first field, and then the rest of the street name in the second field. The secondary number field is where you'll put the condo number or a unit number if that's part of the address. Start typing your city, and then select it from the list. Defaults to Iowa, and we'll add the zip code. You see there are some red asterisks there. That means those are required fields. We're going to select the county from this list on the side. And then the legal description is entered exactly as it appears in the abstract. If your legal description contains a specific number of acres, you're going to click on this blue link to add a disclaimer, and what that does, it just lets the lender know that no one from your office or our office went out and did a survey to verify that number of acres. We have a Save Changes button at the top and the bottom of each of these screens, and it doesn't matter which one you use. If you happen to forget to fill in a field, let's take the zip code off, and you save changes, the screen doesn't turn to green. If you have a message that more work is needed, and you can click on this What's Incomplete button to find out what you did wrong. And this gives you a list of all the fields in the certificate that need to be completed before you can issue the certificate. We haven't gone to those other screens yet, so we just care about this first one, the property screen. I'll add that zip code back in and save again. And now we have a green check mark, so we know we can move on to the general information screen. The general information screen repeats a little bit of what's already been entered. We've got a pending status. Our premium is $110 so far, and that might change as we work through the screens. We have a purchase transaction here. If you get this far and you realize you made a mistake, you can always change it from this point. We're going to select our abstractor from this list, the drop-down list, and this is all of the abstractors that are eligible to provide abstracting service in the property, in the county of your property. The title opinion attorney defaulted to the attorney that I'm working under, but if anyone who's not working in a law office will just start typing that attorney's name in this field and then select your attorney from the drop-down list. We've got our borrowers listed here and the title holders listed here, and now we need to choose, is this an entity or an individual? So we're going to choose individual. For a real person, you choose individual. If it's an entity, I'll show you here. Then you also need to choose what type of entity, and that's going to help to pre-fill requirements and exceptions. We'll switch this back. The next question is the tenancy of these title holders, and we've got several options. So you'll, if this meets exactly how they took title, you'll choose either one of those buttons. If you have more than one current title holder and you're not sure of the tenancy, you can choose unknown. And then this phrase will follow their names on our Schedule A. If there's only one title holder, you'll choose other. Let's say in our situation, they're joint tenants, so I'm going to click that button. We have a contact information and a mailing to section here. That's entirely optional, and you can use that if that meets your needs. And now we'll save changes. Now the general information screen is turned green, so we can move on to the coverage screen. So enter the loan number if you know it. The coverage amount pulls in from the prior screen. You'll notice there's a black flag here. Anytime you see that in our system, you'll know that means an underwriter might need to get involved. So all you have to do is just hover over the flag and you'll get that message. The type of sale defaults to fee simple. Other options are available. For the originating lender, you're going to choose from the list that we've compiled in our system. And as you work in the system, you'll get a short list of lenders that you've used so far. If you have a lender you haven't used before, you're going to click on View All and then type their name. And then you'll be able to find the correct location for that lender. When you're issuing a certificate, your originating lender is always going to be the guaranteed lender. So you'll click this box, check if same as originating. And then this is how their name will appear on the Schedule A. You'll see we added its successors and or assigns, so that covers anyone who purchases the loan, or if the bank changes names, that would be the successor. So If you have an assignment of mortgage in your transaction, you're not going to show the assignment on this screen. If that lender wants their assignment to be covered by the title guarantee certificate, they will need an assignment endorsement. The only exception to this name of guarantee being the same as the originating lender is if this transaction is MERS as nominee for the local lender. So in a case like that, you would then choose Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems as the guaranteed lender and click this box, which results in the name of the guaranteed appearing the way it should be, solely as nominee. And once you've completed those fields, now we'll do the certification date and time. You can either use the actual certification date and time that appears on your title opinion or on the abstract. Our underwriter's preferred method is that we insure just back through the filing of that mortgage. So even though the abstract was certified through today, I'm going to put in the filing date of the mortgage and the time that it was filed. So we're just covering that mortgage filing. The mortgage signing date is the date of the mortgage. And then again, the filing date. And now if you click on this blue default text, it creates the mortgage paragraph for you. So all the information is in there. The blank line is for the book and page or document number. Be careful with the marital status that appears. Our system sees two borrowers and assumes they're husband and wife. So you'll always want to verify that that's correct. And the marital status in this paragraph should match exactly the way it shows on the mortgage. Now we're going to save changes. And let's move on to the endorsements. The lender will have let you know which endorsements they need. Our endorsements are listed here. The most commonly requested are first in bold type, and then the rest in alphabetical order. They'll show whether there's a premium due or not. Some of them have that black flag, which means an underwriter will have to approve them. And then they all have a question mark here, so you can, if you have an endorsement you're not sure of, this gives you the information. So there's a brief overview of the endorsement. If there's anything specific that you have to add for this particular transaction, it tells you how to include those variables, any underwriting requirements, and then the text of the endorsement. So this is good if you have one that you're not familiar with. Get familiar with it. And then to select the endorsements, just click the ones you need. And save changes. And it puts them up here in the selected section. Any endorsements that don't need any edits, that are ready to go, will have that green check mark by them. If they need edits, they'll have a red X, and then you can click on Edit to go in and fill in the variables. If you chose an endorsement you don't need, there's a trash can here. You can remove it. Now we're back to the three that the lender really needs in our case. And once you save the endorsements, it actually saves the screen. So we are ready to move on to Schedule B. On the certificate, Schedule B is divided into two sections. Part 1 are any exceptions that are superior to that mortgage that we're insuring. And Part 2 is for any matters that are inferior, like a subordinated mortgage or a new junior mortgage. We have some additional Schedule B options available here if you need help with the wording of an exception. In each of these sections, the numbering, there's hard-coded numbers. Some of these paragraphs can be edited. If there's a box around the text, that means it's editable. If not, there's no edits available. There's a trash can here. Some of them can be removed. And you can also change the order of the paragraphs by clicking on the up or down arrows, which changes the order. If you need another blank paragraph, you click on the blue plus sign, which adds another blank paragraph in that section. So we're going to start now with the taxes. The first sentence of the tax paragraph describes the tax year that we're in based on the certification date that was entered earlier. And then the editable portion of this describes the status as those taxes should be as of that date. So our certification date was in April, so we're in the new tax year. So it gives the upcoming tax year, and nothing is due or payable yet. So as long as that matches what you see on your title opinion or in the abstract, you can just use that wording. Remember, we don't put any parcel numbers or tax amounts in this section. You'll also see several default paragraphs. These are not editable. Those affect most property in Iowa, so we ask that those be left in there. The next one prompts you to look for a mortgage that might be superior to the mortgage we're insuring. So this is not the mortgage we're insuring. This is another mortgage that might be an exception. If you don't have any, you just remove this with the trash can. But this is a place where if you have the seller's mortgage that didn't get released properly yet, this is where you'll leave that in there, put all that mortgage information in. And then you'll also look at your title opinion and see what else is on the title opinion as an objection. For example, restrictive covenants, easements, the declaration for the condominium, anything like that. And we want all of those listed, each in their own paragraph, including the filing information. So let's say for this one I've got restrictive covenants and a homeowners association. So I'm going to use my Schedule B options, and to use these you can click on the arrow, which expands your list. And to see what the text would be on these, you just click on the name. CCR stands for Covenants, Conditions, Restrictions. So this would be a good one for that restrictive covenant. And to import that language, you click the box, and then I'm going to click on Add. I'm also going to need the homeowner association. That's good text. Now click Add, and then it adds those as the last numbered paragraphs in that section. So we just fill in the blanks. You can also just copy and paste from your title opinion as well. That's just as easy. Just create a new blank paragraph and then fill in that blank paragraph with your text. So we're going to do this with every exception that's shown on your title opinion. And like I said, Part 2 is for anything that's inferior. So a new junior mortgage would go there, or a subordinated mortgage if this is a refinance, something like that. All right, so now I'm going to save changes. Now, you're probably thinking, we can't leave the seller's mortgage on there. Well, yes, we can. And that's a rapid certificate. So if you're issuing a rapid certificate, you want to make sure that you do have evidence that that mortgage was paid properly. So you'll want the payoff statement and the proof of payment before you can issue this as a rapid certificate. And in order to have the lender approve the certificate with that old mortgage on it, we're going to need to cover over it with the endorsement against lost lien. And so now we're going to go back to the endorsement, and we're going to add that endorsement to the certificate. And it's this one here. We'll save changes. The endorsement against lost lien requires an edit. And what we're going to do is we're going to enter the paragraph number of that unreleased mortgage from Schedule B right here in the variable box. So here's the text of the endorsement. The variable is right there. So when we enter our number, that's going to fill in there as when the once we save changes. So it was, I believe it was paragraph 4. We also have the place here where you can upload your payoff documents right now if you want to. And that will be necessary if you need us to help you with the mortgage release program. So you'll have the option to upload them now, or you can wait until after the certificate's issued. So to save the endorsement, click on Update. And because we made a change after saving Schedule B, it opens up again. We need to go back and review it and save it again. Excuse me. So this is a good chance to make sure that you're using the right paragraph number in that endorsement, and I did. So now all we need to do is just save this again. Now all our screens are green, so we're ready to review the certificate. So you go back to the Lender First Certificate Overview screen. So we're on the Overview screen. Status is pending. Total premium is $110, and this gives a brief overview of all of the information we entered. And here's the action line here across the top. We can issue the certificate, cancel it, preview it, and with the certificate we only have one at a time, so you only can preview this certificate. You can send it to underwriting if you have an underwriting question, and you'll be asked to put in a note explaining what you want the underwriters to help you with. Once you click Send to Underwriting, it changes the status to underwriting, and then the underwriter will get back to you with an answer. If you want someone on our staff to just review your work, you can send to audit in the same way. Our audit team are not attorneys, so this would be, did I word this properly? Did I put this in the right spot? That type of question. Again, you'd be asked to put in a note explaining what you need. You can also add another certificate to this transaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to issue the owner's or the lender certificate first, and we encourage you to preview everything before you issue. I know you might catch some little mistakes that way. So I'm going to issue it. And now it's issued. And I'm going to add an owner certificate. So we'll choose owner. And it opens up the screens that are needed to issue that owner certificate. So we'll start with the property screen. Typically no changes are needed, so I'm just going to save changes. The general information screen pulls in a lot of information from the lender certificate. So we already have the purchase transaction, abstractor, title opinion attorney, title holders' names are there, tenancy is done. We offer an owner coverage letter, which is provides information to those buyers what they're getting with this title guarantee coverage, and that's good customer service to provide that for them. So if you don't have a cover letter of your own that you're going to give to those new buyers, we recommend that you use ours. And to do that, all you do is click on Yes, pull their names in, so now the letter will be addressed to them. And if you also want a mailing sheet to print to go with that cover letter, you can copy their names and address into these fields and click this box, and a mailing sheet will also be printed. I'm going to save changes. The next screen is the coverage screen. So if your buyers signed their composite mortgage affidavit and indicated that they wanted coverage, that's where you'll get this information. So you can put in their loan number. The coverage amount will be the purchase price of their property, and they would have indicated that on their composite mortgage affidavit. There's a place for them to indicate what their purchase price is. If they're going to be using this property as their primary residence, they're eligible for free coverage as long as it's $500,000 or less, and they also would have indicated that on the composite mortgage affidavit. So we'll check this box, and then once we save changes, it'll change the premium due from 25 to 0. And these other fields pulled in from the prior screen. So now we have 0 premium on the owner certificate, and this changes to green, and we'll go on to the endorsements. Typically, we don't see too many endorsements with owner coverage. Most of them are need underwriter approval. So if you have someone requesting an owner endorsement, please give our underwriters a call and they can help you with that. Because we issued the lender certificate with this endorsement against lost lien, the system has added it for you so you won't forget. I'm not going to try to edit it yet because we don't know the paragraph number we're going to insert. So we'll just go to Schedule B and complete that, and we'll come back to the endorsement. Schedule B on the owner certificate has some standard exceptions that can't be changed or removed, and then the special exceptions. And these are worked the same way we did it on the lender certificate, but the owner certificate pulls in all of the exceptions from the lender certificate, so you really don't have much work to do. It also adds the new mortgage as the last exception, and that is an exception to the ownership interest of the property, so that does need to remain here on the owner Schedule B. So all we have to do is save changes. Our unreleased mortgage is paragraph 9, so that's the number we'll insert in that endorsement. So let's save here and go back to the endorsement and edit the endorsement against lost lien and put number 9 here, and then to save the endorsement, click on Update. And now all of our screens are green. So we can go back to the owner certificate overview screen. Again, it's pending, 0 premium due, same actions, and I would, if I were issuing this, actually issuing it, I would preview it first and then issue. So we'll go ahead and issue it. All right, so now it's issued as well. So we're ready to send it off to the lender. So follow these directions. Go to the Archives and Snapshot screen to print, and that's right here. This screen is divided into active and archived uploads. And the most current versions are in the active section, and anything prior would be in the archive section. We have a transaction statement down here that's printed with each certificate. So once the owner certificate got printed, this is the most current. So that's why the first one is down in the archive section. But as you work through, if you have to amend a certificate, once you reissue it the second time, the newest version would be up here, the older version would be down below. So that's how that works. And to view them individually, you can just click on the name. To print them or save them or email them on as a group, you can click these boxes and then click on Download Selected. You can either save them or open them as a zip file and then send them on all together. And that works really well if you have an electronic signature on file with us, then you don't have to print them and sign them individually. So if you need help with that, just let us know. Okay, so like I said, if you need to amend the certificate, you would locate it in the search screen. You'd end up on the Lender First Certificate Overview screen, and now your actions are amend or add another certificate. So if you need to make a correction, you just click on Amend, and any of the screens will open up. You can do anything you need to do. You'll have to review these screens that turned red and then issue it again. So I'm not going to change Schedule B, so I'll just save that. Let's say we needed to correct the paragraph number on the mortgage. I typed it in wrong. Too many numbers. Save changes. And now they're all green again, and you can go back and reissue it. Remember that if you have to make a correction on that lender certificate, you may also need to make the same correction on any corresponding certificates. If the owner certificate has that same information, in our situation it would. You need to go back in and amend the owner certificate to correct Schedule B. If you have a rapid certificate, we're going to make sure that you need to follow up and make sure a valid release does get filed. You do not amend the certificate to follow up with the rapid certificate. Instead, you're going to just go right into the endorsement screen and click on that endorsement against lost lien. You click on View, and now there's a new button added. Once it's been issued, there's a new button here, Showing of Release or Submit Request for Mortgage Release, and you'll click on that. Oh, here you can see you can still upload your payoff documents if you need to. That's still available there. So let's click here. And this is the Showing of Release. Oh, I wanted to, here, let me go to a different one here. This one's better. Okay, so let's do the rapid certificate off this screen. This certificate was issued and now we have a valid release. So I'm locating it on the listing screen. We're going to go into the endorsement, click on View, and click on the Showing of Release or Submit Request for Mortgage Release. And this is how yours will look. This mortgage paragraph is the one from Schedule B, the unreleased mortgage, and now we have a valid release. So what we're going to do is type the file date of the release up here. And then fill in these blanks with the proper information. So the grantor name would be the lender who released it, so Bank of America, filing date again, and then the book and page. And once you fill all of that in, you can save and then print the Showing of Release if you want to keep a copy for your file or forward it on to the lender, and then save and close. If you don't have a valid release and you need our help, that's what the Mortgage Release Program is for. And if you're issuing a rapid certificate and you can't get a valid release, there's no charge for that program. You would click this box. However, you do need to upload your payoff documents first, so we can't help you unless we have your documents. So that's how that goes. If you're going to issue a rapid certificate and it is covering a mortgage that you're not paying off in this transaction, let's say an older mortgage that never got released properly, that would not be free for the Mortgage Release Program. We would charge you our mortgage release fee of $100. So, but you can still get our help through the Mortgage Release Program. Right. Okay. Next, I want to show you how to issue a certificate when you've issued a commitment. So I've pulled up a commitment that we issued, and now we're ready to add the certificate. So we'll click on View. So I pulled it up using the transaction number. I'm going to click on View in the search results. And here's our commitment. We landed on the commitment overview screen. So now our actions are cancel or amend or add a certificate. So we're going to add a lender certificate first. You'll see the commitment was issued with lender and owner coverage. So we'll start with the lender certificate, and it adds the screens needed for that certificate. So we'll start with the property screen. In most cases, the property information doesn't change from the time the commitment was issued until the certificate gets issued. So typically we can just save changes. The general information screen pulls in from the commitment screens. So we've got our abstractor, title opinion attorney, and now our borrowers and title holders are the same. So unless this changed, you can leave it alone. If you did change abstractors, just use the trash can and choose the correct abstractor from the list. Make sure that your borrower fields reflect exactly the way they had their names on the mortgage, and that the title holders fields are exactly the way they were on the deed. Sometimes those change. And remember that the tenancy question was answered based on the seller's tenancy when you created your commitment. So now you need to look, how do these new title holders hold as tenancy? So that may change. So we'll change this to joint tenants. And I'm going to save changes. Move on to the coverage screen. Now this pulled in from the commitment, so we already have our loan number in there, but if you didn't know it at the commitment stage, and now you can add it. This is the amount of the mortgage that we thought it would be when the commitment was created, so you want to look at your information to make sure that's still their amount. The lender was chosen with the commitment, so it should still be the same, but this is a case where you might be adding that MERS as nominee language. Otherwise, it's this is our lender. And we'll fill in the rest of this the same way I did earlier. So I'll just okay, and the mortgage date, filing date. And click here for default text. Looks like all I need is the book and page. And verify the marital status is correct. And save changes. Let's go to endorsements next. These are the endorsements that were selected when the commitment was issued. So typically that's not going to change. So all you have to do is save changes. And let's go to Schedule B. So when you're doing a certificate after the commitment was issued, all of the exceptions that you entered with the commitment are going to pull in to the certificate Schedule B. So we already have our plat, restricted covenants, easements, all of that. You're not going to need to add them at this time. The tax paragraph might update this part of it. The hard-coded part will update if you're based on when the new certification date is. This box won't ever update. So in our situation, the commitment was issued in March, and the certification date was in March, so we were on the old tax year. Now we're in April, which puts us into the next tax year. So this paragraph is reflecting the upcoming tax year. This is still on the old tax year. So this is the time of year when you're going to want to have to really look close at your tax information, because you might have to change it all the time. So here I'm going to change this to none now, due, and payable. And this matches what we had on the prior example. The unreleased mortgages, or the ones that were paid off at the closing, are going to show up now too, because the commitment Schedule B, everything from the commitment Schedule B exceptions is pulling in. So now you'll look at your information you have currently. If these mortgages were already released, all you have to do is remove them with the trash can. If you don't have a release yet on one of them, you're going to issue this as a rapid certificate, same way that I showed you on the other example. So I'm just going to do that. We'll save changes. And we need to go back into the endorsements. Now our unreleased mortgage is paragraph 2. So let's go create that endorsement against lost lien. Save it. And edit. And I'm going to enter paragraph 2 and update. And now it's green. And because we added an endorsement, Schedule B, it needs to be reviewed and saved again. And I'll just save changes. And now the lender certificate can be reviewed. So just like the other example, everything's here. Preview it, issue it. Okay, I'm going to check and see if we have any questions, and while I'm doing that, Rhonda's going to talk to you a little bit about some upcoming events.
Hi, this is Rhonda. Thanks for joining us today. I just want to mention we have one more webinar coming up in our series, and it's about ePayment. If you're not familiar with ePayment, it's our secure, reliable payment portal, and it will help assist in providing accurate fees on your closing disclosures. And if you want to learn more about it and how to save yourself some time and some money, join us on April 21st for our ePayment webinar. And then on April 26th, if you haven't signed up, we've got some good presentations coming up on our settlement conference scheduled for Tuesday, April 26th. And thanks for joining us, and Judy's going to check on these questions.
Okay, the first question was about owner coverage. The owner's coverage it benefits the new title holders. The lender's coverage benefits the lender. And so the question was, do the owners get any coverage at all if we don't add an owner certificate? The answer is no. So if you want, and we encourage you to present that to those buyers, tell them that it's a great deal, especially if it's going to be free, and it provides a little bit of extra coverage for them. And in Iowa, our abstracts are so clean, and here at Title Guarantee, we really pride ourselves in not having very many claims, but there's always a chance that a prior title holder was missed. If there was an estate and they didn't locate all of the grandchildren, and somebody comes back years later and says, that's my property, that's a good example of where we would help you. So those buyers do get good coverage with the owner certificate, so we hope that you'll promote that. The next question was about a mortgage release program. The question is, what do we submit for a mortgage release program? And I'm not going to try to go through everything that you could submit. Carrie Nutt is our underwriter that helps with that, and please call our office and ask for her, and she'd walk you through. We find that with mortgage release program, almost every situation is unique, and so we can't really give you a blanket answer. For your current payoffs, you need a payoff statement and the proof of payment. For anything older, if you don't have those specific documents, talk to Carrie. She might be able to give you some creative ideas on what else you can use to get the mortgage release program. Another question is, if I completed my showing of release, why is it still on my rapid certificate report? And the answer to that is, when you go in and complete your endorsement against lost lien after the certificate's been issued, you have to fill in all of your, let me make sure this is an issued one here. No, we'll go back to one of these others. When you're in the endorsement against lost lien, you have to remember not only to fill in these blanks, but also this box up here. That's what triggers the report. So if you're finding that you filled everything in, but you still are getting a notice that you didn't fill everything in, that's why. So make sure you fill in both spots, this one and the blanks that appear down below. Okay, the next question would be, what's a rapid certificate report? How do I get to it? So let's close this. And I'm going to go to my attorney's participant record. I'm probably going to have to log in as her, so let's log out. Log in as the attorney. And I'll go to the participant record. Okay, so when you're in the participant listing, click on the view next to the attorney's name. It takes you to their participant details screen, and we have reports. in our training region, that button isn't here, but in the live region of CAP, there's a reports button. And that's where you can access the Rapid Certificate Report. Carrie, do you remember what number it is? 2.6. 2.6 is the Rapid Certificate Report. On our resources screen, where I showed you where you can get more training documents, there is a reports information. Tells you what the reports will, what results you'll get, how to run those reports. So be sure to access that information. Another question about mortgage release. How soon can I submit a request for help with the mortgage release program? We recommend that you wait at least 4 months after the date of the new mortgage, and that's to give the lender plenty of time to file a release. Some of those out-of-state lenders take forever, and so we don't want to duplicate efforts if we don't need to. However, if you have a release that was filed that is not valid, let's say the wrong entity filed your release, then of course you don't have to wait the 4 months. Let us know as soon as you know that you're going to need our help. I don't think I have any more questions, so please
check one more time.
Check one more time. And remember that we do have those resources. Oh. Yep, that's all the questions. We do have the resources available on the resource desk, or you can always give us a call. We're happy to help you. And we hope we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.